and welcome back to Command Stack, your source for Armada news and events. And today we're going to be covering a little bit about Worlds 2025. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken,
I'm Garrett.
I'm Ryan.
and welcome to our show today. This is our first post-Adepticon uh, podcast. We got kind of a fun little agenda here for you today. We're going to skip the news. And I think we're just going to talk about Adepticon and our general feelings. And I know for me, I'll kind of kick it off real quick and say I had a lot of fun. And this year, unlike the last two, I was talking every single game. There we go. That's my thing.
Has your voice recovered, Ken?
Well, we're about a month afterwards, so yes.
That's good.
I will say it's one of the hardest things to do is to keep talking, especially when either there's no action going on and you got to start coming up with ways to entertain people, or the exact opposite, where we've got dice flying so quickly. And Garrett, you and I had a couple of times where we're like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. Especially like when players when you're playing fast Armada, you like skip steps kind of in like what you're doing, and you roll five dice rolls in a row, but you're rolling for five bombers. But like it really matters to the audience, like which bomber's rolling. But yeah, no, it was good. I feel like we just left, so feels like it was just yesterday. But yeah, it was awesome. Everyone was really excited to be there. So many players, so many excited players.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And let's take this moment to shout out Chris Rome, who helped us out a lot over the weekend. I mean, he was on his feet for pretty much two-thirds of those games. Christian came in and helped us for two games. And we got to give a little bit of credit to Mars also, who helped us out for two games. So thank you, everyone. And Ryan, you were going to help us out,
But
but
could not stop winning.
So I had in my Discord chat with the mods on the Armada Hub. A couple days before and they can screenshot this if they want. Kalorn or Paul Conrad. I was like, I think I'm going to wash out. Like I'm not feeling very confident, and I had just like I was very. I'll say this. I was very fortunate in terms of like dice luck and everything, and I had like the best tournament of my life, by far. What I was just I was calling my family. I was telling like my college buddies, hey, you guys gotta tune in. Like I could win worlds. Like this is awesome. And so like my college buddies who have like never seen a game of Armada in their life, they watch the one game where I lose.
Oh no.
But what a great, I wanted to make day two. That was my goal. That I wanted to make day two. And I knew by kind of the end of round four on day one, that I had made it. Um, so I'll just talk about my fleet if you guys want, what I was thinking in my construction. So I went, I've always said like my Overload Pulse MC-75 armored cruiser thing works. It's the rest of the fleet that what do I do with it? And so I had really observed that I didn't think squads had a ton of power lately. I just didn't, I just kind of had felt that through the meta. And so I decided, all right, well, what's the best way to mitigate squads? And I said, all right, well, PDICs are great. And then our, reinforced blast doors are really good against chip damage. And they're especially good on MC-75s because they let you preserve your defense tokens because you have these double contains, right? So if you can take damage to the hull, not, burn a brace, not burn a redirect, and the next turn, the top of the round, it's going to be discarded. And so I ran two MC-75s with Radis. Both had reinforced blast doors and both had PDICs. And it turned out like that was enough to try to survive most squadron attacks with Shara Tycho. Very strategic placement of Shara Tycho to to kind of hold up the fleet. And then I had a CR90B with Overload Pulse and a flotilla with Leia, who was awesome. I didn't use her every game, and she's one of those officers that you don't see a lot, but she lets you control your dials. Generally speaking, on high value ships or high command stack ships, but I even used it once on like my CR90B because I was like, well, the from the decision making point of when we set dials to when it was time to activate the CR90B, like it needed to change. So I just used Leia to change that, and super helpful. I can really implore people to look at her again as Rebel Larges start to be more of a thing. So that was my fleet heading in. I just wanted to make day two. I knew how it worked. I only had one practice game with like that fleet in, but I had the concept of dropping an MC-75 overload pulse. I had done that, I could do that in my sleep. Done that tons of times. So day one, and I'll go pretty quick here because I don't want to kind of bore everyone with my bat rep, but I do want to say my first game, I had just the most insane thing that ever happened to me in Armada. I tried to kill my own ship. I played William Gonzalez, I think he's from Chicago. I played his surprise attack, and he put his Patriot's Fists in range of a drop on turn one, with the added range of surprise attack. So I've never dropped on turn one before, and I was like, well, that's it. And so I dropped, and I had the pleasure of, I almost positive I rolled the first dice and I killed the first ship of Worlds because by the end of turn one, it was over for his Patriot's Fist. And then I start running to the corner of the board. His Providence comes into me, chasing me down. But he kind of, his Providence was going to run off the board. The only thing saving him, which would have been a table, the only thing saving him was my MC-75. And so he shoots me, and I'm like, well, I need to kill myself. I need to kill my ship so he'll run off the board and I'll get the table. And so we had this kind of hilarious thing of like, can I kill myself? Can I take more damage? It had to do with redirects. Can I redirect damage to a 0 shield zone to take more damage on the hull to kill myself? Just kind of a hilarious first game. It was a great opponent. I had a 9 on that. Then I played Social General Rob my second game. He had an Akbar fleet. He did a really clever job of isolating his assault frigate. With Radish, you want to go get your big thing. You have big target, and so he put his assault frigate off to the side, which made trying to go in after that would have been really dangerous for me. So I dropped, picked off an MC-30 and ran. And then I played Brooke from Minnesota. I thought very intently about a couple of things before going in. One was how to play infested fields, because everyone takes infested fields. It's always like a good kind of backup. And Brooke had infested fields, and I had practiced flipping infested fields. Basically, sacrifice Shara Tycho, go get those 15 points. If my opponent would put their asteroids in range, and Brooke did, so I immediately got 45 points flipping infested fields on turn one. The downside is Shara Tycho die, and Brooke gets those points back. But Brooke and I had another crazy game and ended up tabling Brooke and got an 8 out of it. And then my last round, I played Chris Fritz, who's known as Truthiness. And we had kind of known we had made day 2 at that point. And so I was trying to set up Chris in case I played him later in the tournament. And so I played differently than I would have. So I dropped on a hard sell instead of his Patriot's Fist. But I lost that 7-4. The crazy thing comes in day 2. I had a game 1 against Greg Fife from England. He had a Seppi list. I had a nice 7-4 win. Great way to start out my day 2. And the thing that I think we'll talk about kind of holistically, the cut from day 2 to day 3 is brutal. It's 40. It goes from 48 to 8. And so that changes the way you need to play, because you need big scores. So then I played Jacek from Poland in round 2, and I got a loss. And so I got a 4. And I was like, well, that's probably it at that point. I only have 11 tournament points after 2 rounds. I need probably like 30 tournament points to make the next day, to be sure. And it's just probably not in the cards at that point. I made a catastrophic objective choice on Jacek when I took his volatile deposits and just got all 281 points that he scored were like objective tokens. And like Shard Tyco. It was brutal. So he farmed, and he looks over to Black Admiral afterwards. He's like, "This is how you farm." You were playing
Oh
next to each
no.
other. Yeah.
I remember right after that game, because that's when we kind of had that lunch, and you like came over and like, well, I think I'm going to be hanging out with you guys in the streaming booth tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was rough. I didn't feel great after that game, but he was a really great opponent. Appreciate him coming over from Europe
Mhm.
to play. And then my round three was against correct me on my pronunciation, but Justin Schoonmaker from the Tri-State Armada community. Um, so did I pronounce it wrong, Garrett? You're looking at me.
I think that's right. I don't know. That's a hard last name.
Might be Schoonmaker or Schoonmaker. I apologize, Justin. We had both everyone kind of in my area was like I don't know what table we were at, but it was like table 15 or something. And we were like, everyone just kind of acknowledged each other, like, we have to go for it. Like we're in the circumstances. And Justin and I, Justin had, again, I think he had infested fields. And he put his tokens in range, and so by the end of the first turn, it was 60-15 because I was able to steal 4 tokens, which is like my favorite thing to do is to steal someone else's infested field tokens, and so that puts a lot of pressure on Justin. I was like, all right, if I have a 60-15 lead, I just need to take out one of his ships. And he did a really good job of like flying diagonally and denying a good drop. So I dropped it like round 5, I think. It was round 4 or round 5, and I think it was 5, and just brutal. Just a terrible drop. He did a really great job screening it. And so we threw a ton of dice at each other. I know I had a very narrow win at a 6-5. Justin just had really poor dice with his hyenas. I was very fortunate, and this is one of those circumstances. It was like I did not deserve that. Justin played well, and the dice just did not go his way. It was like kind of hard to watch it at certain points, and I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like,
Dude, hyena dice are so like risky.
yeah. So he didn't have BCC,
Yeah.
and so you're just
Ugh.
rolling the addies, and like he had a full bombing run at like a flotilla, and I didn't even have to spend any defense tokens, and it was fine. Like he took no
Wow.
damage. It was
Wow.
Hey,
It was-
Clone Wars
Destiny.
factions.
That's
I
what
mean,
that's called. Destiny.
Yeah.
So then I have round 4, and I'm trying to go quickly. Then it's like, all right, I have 17 points. I have no options other than to get a 10 if I want to make the day 3, and I'm just YOLOing it at this point. And then I'm sitting there talking to Nick Larson right next to him for like 20 minutes before the rounds come out and be like, hey, like I don't want to face you. And he's like, yeah, I don't really think I want to face you. And then sure enough, round 4 to try to get to day 3, I face Nick Larson, who got second 2 years ago, top 8 the last year, obviously like unequivocally one of the best players in the world. And I'm like, okay, we need to get a 10. And so he had surprise attack, and I said, all right, we got to go. And so dropped turn 1 on his Venator, had very fortunate dice and nuked the Venator. So it did not get a second activation. I'll just say that. But I know I need a table, right? And so he has his Mercy Mission ship kind of skirting the back of the board. So I put my flagship at a diagonal to chase him. My drop is dealing with his Venator. He's flying Republic, obviously, and he's got 134 in squads. And guys, I've never killed a Mercy Mission ship in my life. And never. Why would you chase one down? And on round 6, I got I got an ideal roll I rolled like 7 damage or something on his little counselor frigate, and he couldn't, with 1 accuracy to redirect, it just like blew it apart and killed his Mercy Mission ship. And again, that was another game. His Y-wing bombers were just brutalized by PDIC. Just couldn't. He had some very bad luck with that, and that really would have changed the game. But at that point, I got a 10-1 on Nick Larson, probably one of the best games I've ever had. Very fortunate with dice, of course. And they announced it, and I made top 8 by 30 points. And I'm like, Garrett's keeping me going this whole time with like allergy medicine. Like I had like the sorest of throats like all week. I was like sleeping. Our hotel room had like crack in the window, and so it was like outside air. It was like 40 degrees where I was sleeping, and I was just kind of like I bundled up and shivering. And then so it gets to round three, or day three. Call my wife. I'm, super happy about everything. This is incredible. I never thought. And so I get placed with Nick Brown for my first game, which is my first Radis mirror match. And the theory of a Radis mirror match is you actually want second, because in going second against Radis, you can mirror his drop, like, and so he knows that too. So I took second because I had the biggest bid in the tournament at 16. And he takes my capture the VIP. He does a really clever drop of basically dropping ahead to steal the VIP, runs off with his hammerhead, and I get a sub-alt. I'm trying to kill his flagship, get a sub-optimal drop on it. And just how it was by round 5, he had turned his hammerhead in with the VIP token, trying to kill something that was really on fire to get a big win, as you try to do. I lucked out, killed his hammerhead, causing him to drop the VIP token. My next turn, I pick it up, and I really lucked out in a win that way. And then I get my second game against Adam Newton, who goes by Angry Ewok, and really has a great YouTube channel. And I think his tactics have helped me become like a better player than almost anything I've seen. So I played him, but also like you kind of know Adam's fleet, and you know his objectives. And I thought this is one of those people that I think about, like, how am I going to fly against it? And I had talked to Garrett before this. I was like, if I get this, I'm taking his intel sweep. I know what I'm doing. I'm stealing it the first turn with a drop and then running away. And that's what I did. And I had thought many games about what to do against this fleet. And I did that, and the plan worked. I almost got in a ton of trouble because I decided for some reason I just didn't go up to speed 3 on my turn. I turn 1 dropped with my MC75, and I didn't go up to speed 3 because I thought I could take more damage than I could. And so like my MC75 immediately started taking Akbar side shots from his assault frigate, from his Jaina's Light, and by like the end of turn 2, I had like 2 health left.
Yeah, his fighters were chewing you.
Yeah.
Chewing you down hard.
And Garrett said, I rewatched the video, and he said, told Ken, I flacked on the first turn with like Jaina's Light with like 1 blue die, right? And so like I hit 1 YT 2400, and he's like, Ken, you miss all the shots you don't take. You guys were kind of making fun of me for shooting. We were flacking with Jaina's Light, and I ended up killing that YT 2400, and that's like a real loss of firepower.
Yeah.
For that, that one. So I just flacked everything, ran away. I got extraordinarily lucky with dice that game. I killed
damage deck because of the structural damage.
Yeah. So I'd have to go back and actually watch if I cut his deck, or we just kind of gentlemanly agreed not to cut his deck. Because with the damage card deck, I usually just say, that's fine. But he drew a structural damage and
flipped the whole game.
Flipped the whole game, gave me a huge score on Jaina's Light. Really, I mean, could not be more fortunate. And so, but I got a big win. I got an 8-3. And so that puts me here, to set the scene. We're going into round 3. I have 14 tournament points. I'm freaking out. I'm texting my college buddies, hey, like, I could win the world championships in Armada. They're like, what's Armada? And I got my mom and my dad watching at this point, watching you guys. I got my whole family watching, and then I get paired with Jason, who's got a 16 tournament points. And so here's like the critical thing about that. To win worlds, I know I need a 7.
Yeah.
It's got to be a 7-4. So everything I did in that game was the mentality of trying to get a 7-4. And so I looked at it, and his objectives are brutal. Advanced gunnery, fire lanes, and hyperspace migration. And so I decided none of those are good. Maybe hyperspace migration might be okay. But I knew I'd be down, and I didn't quite know how much I'd be down, but it ended up being 100 points, like just off the bat. Within 2 turns, I was down 100 points, and I dropped round 3. And at that point, when you're down that much, my only option to get a 7-4 is really to get a table. Maybe I could have killed his flagship, and that would have been enough. But I thought he would kill my dropship as well, and so I was approaching it as trying to get a table rather than normally what I do is try to pick off a player, a ship, and run. So I make my drop. I go back and forth on whether it was a good drop or not. But I dropped, and I make a critical mistake. And I have rules in Fly on my list. And one of my rules is when there's PDICs, you just go to medium range on your CR90 overload pulse, because there's no reason to be at close range. There's no reason to put PDICs in play. And I forgot.
I've never backseat flew in my life so hard because I was off to the side watching, just screaming inside my head because I can't say anything.
Yeah. It was just
John
a catastrophic
and I were writing
mistake.
little notes back and forth to each other too.
I just forgot about it. And so I put one of the shots was in PDIC range, and I get the crit. I get the overload pulse, but he PDICs it into like a hit or something. And that really hurts because I can no longer one shot the ISD in terms of like, one turn. If you go back and if you look at it and I do it right, I get enough damage. I can intensify firepower and accuracy. He won't have a brace. He won't have his redirects if I don't mess it up. And I can one shot his ISD. If you go back and look at all the damage. And so it's just like, and maybe it's a different game at that point. Then I don't have to take 2 shots from his flagship. I can just take the one by pulling into the front. Who knows? But I made a huge mistake, and he played it extraordinarily well. And resulted in probably one of the funniest things is where I was trying to figure out which ship is closer enough to ram, and we don't have a tool for that. Like, we don't have an actual ruler in Armada, and so we just need a reference point. And he pulls, and so the head judge Dennis pulls out his hyperspace migration card, which probably needs to be like framed in the Armada, Hall of Fame. We probably need to frame that, put in the exhibit somewhere. I don't know where that Hall of Fame would be. Would it be like Minneapolis or something with where FFG's headquarters are, or like where would the Armada Hall of Fame be?
I don't know. I'm slowly building a collection here of the history.
Yeah, maybe it'll be
in Kentucky or someplace in Chicago, someplace in the Midwest. It's got to be in the Midwest, right?
Yeah,
what's funny about the hyperspace migration card is as we started packing up everything, I realized I had my set of calipers in my bag, so I could have pulled those out. We'd have had a more exact measurement, but
Yeah. So I have a ton more to say about the game, but I'll stop. I'm happy to talk to anybody about it, and you guys, you can watch it. I made some mistakes. I was also, again, very fortunate on dice. His ISD, and I've never seen an ISD threw 2 damage out the front to me.
Yeah,
I was like, well, that doesn't happen every day. So I was very fortunate. Jason was a great opponent, extremely well played, extremely well practiced. He was talking about his list and it was like, I have 3 set deployments for his hyperspace migration. And I have it, if it's all ship, I'll deploy this way. If it's fighters, I'll deploy this way. If it's MSU, I'll deploy this way. And that's just like having 3 set deployments for his objective based on the type of fleet is just like another level of Armada. And so like a really good, like very, very impressive. So I finished 3rd. By far the best I've ever done. I'm thrilled. Congratulations to Jason, who ultimately won it all. And then shout out to Xantos Damon, who got 2nd with CIS. Obviously, like he had been 9th 2 years in a row, and ended up getting 2nd. So that's my world story. But thanks for letting me tell it and take your time up. But we got other stuff to cover.
Well, we definitely enjoyed having you on stream the last 2 games, Ryan. So you were part of the streaming process one way or the other. I think in a way you had the more difficult job, though.
Just to show you how much like I didn't expect to do this, I had to get a hotel room overnight, like somewhere outside of Indianapolis because like the weather was just horrible. and it changed my work plans for the next day because I was planning just to start work at like 8 a.m. like I usually do, and I had to push it back because I just was not expecting to play that long.
It's probably a good thing you didn't win Worlds because then you'd have to take a week off.
I'll say this, the one silver lining is that, and this is another thing to cover. The one silver lining is after day one, everyone was like, "How do we nerf Radis? Like, we got to nerf Radis. Like, he's a problem." And
Yeah.
this was because Drew Sackett got a perfect score. Shout out to Drew from around the Nova community. Got 40 points in day one, and everyone's like, "Oh, we got to nerf Profundity. We got to nerf Radis." No one's talking about that now, right? No one's saying, "Oh, we need to nerf Radis" or anything like that. So
Oh, there's still salty people out there.
there's some
Well,
silver lining.
the only reason they're saying that is because you are a celebrity in the Armada world and you were flying Radis.
Stop.
That's totally what it is. Because if we weren't streaming, then Garrett would have had Anakin.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
and we'd be
I was
looking
not that
at
brave.
nerfing Anakin. And I'd have, Draven and I would have won. So anyway,
2 games. Draven would have won 2 games.
I think Draven actually did win 2 games. There was
There
a
was a Draven
Draven
out there, yeah.
in there, which I think he got up to like 81st place or something like that. Did not make day two. But speaking of making day two, one of the things we did at the last podcast for Command Stack was go through the Admiral game, which everyone has enjoyed playing along with. And we did it again this year. And kind of to recap, I'm going to go in terms of where we wound up positioning here. So I wound up taking last again because I think it was last year as well with 234 points. So the way this works is the position of the Admiral wherever it is the end. So if you
You
took
want low
Mark
score.
II,
You want a golf score.
you want a golf score. The smaller the score, the better this is. And if there was 147 players, so if your Admiral did not show up with at all at Worlds, you were guaranteed 150 points. No one actually, all of the 16 Admirals we picked were on the table. The worst placing one, Garrett, that was yours, Anakin at 99th place.
Absolutely wild that nobody. I was so sad France didn't come. My savior.
To be fair, I got the next two worst ones with Kraken and Screed. So,
Kraken is really surprising to me.
I thought he'd be higher up, but 79th. So
Craggy can't get big wins. This is my thing. He can't get
Yeah.
big
well,
wins.
he can get a 7.
He can get a
Yeah.
7. He can make day 2.
But and I wasn't flying, so that's 100% why he was down in 79th place. So anyway, so in last place with Luminara, Kraken, Screed, and Trench, I had 234 points.
That might be a record. Probably is because we have more people, right?
We had more people involved, so I mean,
There you go.
Yeah.
Record.
Not bad, not bad. Garrett came in third with Anakin, Agate, Thrawn, and Trench at 153 points. And then, now this one was kind of fun and interesting because between John and Ryan, so Ryan, you had Yularen, Akbar, Mahdi, and Martuk. John had Bail, Agate, Ozzel, and Grievous. And there was a 1 point difference between the two of you guys. John wound up winning at 79 points to your 80, Ryan. And it just that close.
What were John's Admirals again?
John took Bale, who took 10th, Agate at 12th, Ozzel at 17th, and Grievous at 40.
That's really good to get nothing above in the 50s.
Yeah. And actually, your worst pick was Lauren at 43rd, Mahdi at 39, and then you picked Akbar and Martuk at 5th and 2nd. So I mean, like you had the best pick, the best two picks,
Martuk.
Martuk and Akbar. So yeah, in terms of understanding the field, I clearly have no idea what I'm talking about.
Wait, none of us picked Jerry?
I think we were talking about doing Jared Gerard.
I talked myself out of him.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch the video. Like I had Jerry, and I'm like, I'm gonna switch him. I think he's, and then sure enough, he wins.
John switched Sloan out. actually, didn't Sloan place really high?
We got fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So John
Colin.
was going back and forth between Sloan and Ozzel, and then it's like, nah, no one's going to bring Sloan, and so you both hurt yourselves by changing last minute. So
Certainly. I do want to say we don't really talk about on this podcast traditionally. We haven't talked about the top 8 fleets too much.
mhm.
The general reason for that is because Ken and Garrett spent hours talking about them if you just go watch the videos. And so I think this year we got 6 of the 8 on.
I
I don't
think
think
so.
I don't think we got Nick Brown on there.
Yeah,
I don't think we got
this is
Jacek on there either, Jacka.
yeah, this is the
Okay.
first year because in 22 and 23, or I'm sorry, 23 and 24, we got all 8 fleets, but maybe not on the final day, but on subsequent days. Oddly enough, last year, for 2023, we got 6 different fleets in that top 8, and it happened to be the 6 that we did not see in prior days. So that was kind of cool. So this is the first year we did not get to see all top 8. So we might do another command stack episode covering definitely the 2 fleets that we did not see, and then probably doing an overview of some of the other top fleets as well. Yours will be an easy one, Ryan. You could tell us everything you were thinking about it, but
Yeah, I feel like I already did.
yeah,
So, but I did play both Yasik and Nick Brown.
hmm
So I do know how their fleets work. But if you want to go, please go watch all the hard work if you haven't seen them. It's just entertaining to watch and listen and think about, and try to put yourself in where's that person in on the ladder at the time.
yeah.
Are they fighting for a spot? Are they gambling? Those are kind of cool things to think about.
And this year we were able to show the T4 information while we were talking and everything else, so we could kind of
Okay.
keep people updated. We did a little bit more. Garrett had fun with the telestrator. So you did not get to be John Madden this year, Ryan. Maybe next year.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I did want to say, do we have any takeaways in terms of from the Admiral game or just in general, any stats you may have seen from Worlds? I have a couple if you want me to just start.
Well, I mean, I
I
think the big one is 147 players is a really huge statement. I mean, that's a lot of people that wanted to come play Armada at Adepticon, and it's of the big 3 Star Wars games, Legion, X-Wing, and Armada. Armada's the only one to sell out in a couple hours and increased the field size by about 30. So, I mean, that's a big testament to players around the world because it wasn't just folks in the US. We've got all these people around the world that came out to play. And I know we have a bunch of people from Canada that weren't able to make it out. Some of the normal Polish crew couldn't make it out. We had a few friends from France that weren't able to come. So, if you figure we could have had probably another 5 to 10 players, we could easily hit 160, I think.
I think I was skeptical of the venue change, and I think it ended up working out really well. It's nice to be in a downtown
Hmm.
where you can actually just walk to your hotel,
Yeah.
walk to a restaurant. Um, so I thought that was a very positive thing. I was surprised myself. I liked being in the main hall. I didn't get a migraine. I just had massive allergy issues the whole time, which was probably unrelated to the hall. But like I really liked being in the main hall and just being able to walk over to the vendors, clear my head. Other than Milwaukee, like everything, like at nighttime, just like closes down at like 8 or 9 o'clock
Yeah.
for no apparent reason. Like their downtown's dead on a Friday night.
But I think this is the first year that they've had a major convention like this in 20 years. And they're already, based on some stuff I know, looking at next year to adjust to the Adepticon crowd. So I'm willing to bet you we're going to see in 2026 more restaurants and more activity going on later on at night. And you know what? I'll take the opportunity to say the Barrett Center was really nice.
Yeah.
And I did get a chance to walk around parts of it, and it's huge. And when you think that, if my information is correct, the convention itself took up about 650,000 square feet. There's 1.6 million square feet available in the center. So we were only using about 35-40% of what's available. So tons of room to grow. I think I heard somewhere that there was over 10,000 badges sold, which is
It's got to
huge.
be a record for AdeptiCon, right?
It is. It is. This is their biggest Adepticon ever, and being the 25th one, that's kind of cool. And I think the other thing that I want to point out, and Ryan, you're going to know this better than me, but the tables did not feel like you were scrunched together. It felt like you had space to maneuver around, to walk around, and it was open, and it was not you weren't crammed in like we were in Schaumburg.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt this is like an acceptable space for our mod. Like,
Mhm.
there's no doubt about that. And it's we were close to each other, but it wasn't cramped. And it's
Right.
nice to just be next to other people and talk and have that's just kind of the community aspect of
Mhm.
it. That's really fun. It's nice to walk around Adepticon and see all the other games that are there. Like, I walked into like trying to clear my head. I walked into Halo Fleet Battles.
Mhm.
They had a bunch of people there for their tournament, and so I just walked in and looked at it. It looked really cool. I don't know anything about the game, but that's just the kind of thing you see at Adepticon, right? There's just
Yeah.
stuff to see and walk around if someone's looking to go next year.
I like the streaming area that they had also, not the one where we were actually streaming, but you could sit down by the concessions and watch the different games going on. It's something that Adepticon and Atomic Mass did, which was really neat. It threw me off a little bit though when we were setting up because that day they were playing the Ion Radio videos, and I'm just hearing my voice and John rolling dice behind me. I'm like, what the hell is that? But anyways,
It was a really cool idea that they
yeah.
had. Garrett, what are your takeaways either from the tournament or the weekend or anything like that?
I think overall, um, us and X-Wing combined are still a really big tabletop community. Even though our games are dead. And so I have really high hopes for the future of even if we incrementally lose like a percentage each year, there's so many of us who still want to play the games. I think Adepticon will probably still be a place for us. Uh, the venue is amazing, like you guys said. There's not much to add to that, but it was really hopeful to see how many people made the investment to go there. So, I think we've done the last worlds now like 3 times in a row at this point. So I think we can go ahead and get over that idea at this stage. Like, it's going to go until it goes, I guess, until it fades away. And it's just weird, like watching new Star Wars last night, and then I don't have any content to purchase related to it for my star game. But yeah, Adepticon, amazing. I don't know. You guys pretty much covered it all.
Well, let me talk about this to piggyback off what you're saying. There was a lot of new blood there, like quote
Mhm.
unquote, like
Yeah,
and new players who have been like who are really good, you
Yeah.
know, like we had 2 Kentucky guys finish top 30 who had been
yeah.
playing less than a year. We had Kyle and Aaron.
Aaron and Huckabee and Kyle campaign, I think his name is. Yeah, like I think Aaron got like 30th, and I think Kyle did even better. I want to say, not sure. Um,
And like,
uh, yeah, the
yeah,
hunger for this game exists so much.
Yeah,
Like,
so
people want to play this so bad.
and there have been so many, like you said, this is the first time people were coming out. I had probably about 10 people that came up to me that said that this is their first Adepticon, that they came to play Armada. And, part of it, they were saying is that they love, watching the Iron Radio show, some of the other groups, and they love listening to Command Stack. And that was their biggest reason for coming. So clearly we did enough marketing for Armada to bring some people out. But people were excited to come to the new venue. People were excited to play Armada. And I think that just speaks to the fact that there's still a lot of room to grow. So Garrett, I think you're right. We'll see a little bit of a drop off every year, but we'll see drop off from older players, and the new players are going to come in for 2, 3 years. So it might actually retain kind of a decent level for probably the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, one thing is people weren't sad.
No,
People were excited.
yeah.
Especially like our group, like we were ready to come back and play our tournament in April, like 2 weeks after, immediately.
Mhm.
So, and then again, back to these new people, the communities that do exist, are really healthy. Like they want to come and play. They're not, there's only a few communities that pull like 40, 60 people for game nights, but like there's a lot of communities out there like ours that pull a consistent like 6 to 8 to 10 like every weeknight, which is, that's a lot of people playing Armada in our sphere, right? We're no 40K, but if you can get 8 people, 4 tables going for like some random Thursday night, that's very good.
And in 2 weeks, you guys are going to have even more.
Yeah. And not even 2 weeks, right? Like a week or something. Like May 1st.
Is it a week away?
Not this Saturday, but or next Thursday. Yeah, like 8 days. 8 days away.
So I
better we're calling it the Ken Derby in Louisville. Ken's coming down with the Kentucky Derby, so we're gonna play some Armada.
I'm hoping to get a chance to play against both Garrett and Ryan, and probably a smattering of the other folks down there. So
yeah, Garrett, can you bring Rebellion?
Because I saw your message and I was like, this is the most ambitious guy I've ever met in my life.
How long does it take? Like two hours to play like
6 hours usually?
Oh, you can play a Rebellion in 35 minutes if you screw up.
No, Ken, you can't. And it will be Ryan's first game, so it'll easily take 6 hours.
Well, then maybe that was ambitious.
And my wife can beat me really, really handily with Rebellion. But hey, if you want, I'll bring Rebellion.
Just bring it, because I might not want to play Armada.
I live here, so I can bring it. But we almost need to like a separate day, like just meet at somewhere and play.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are free on Sunday after the Derby, I might have nothing better to do. So,
all right. Hey, one thing. So my impressions, XX9 are a little bit more targeted. XX9 is a great upgrade. Mm-hmm. I had 2 people use it on me, and I didn't. You always think about. I didn't realize that it's like it. The way it works at 2 points, it works the same way, but it doesn't let you use your contain. Mm-hmm. It's like an XI7, kind of card, or it doesn't let you use your contain, regardless of the second effect of getting another face-up card. It just doesn't let you use your contain, and so for 2 points, it's like fantastic upgrade.
It's kind of neat. You have to think of it in that way, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't. The 2 card face-up cards is almost irrelevant. It's really the fact that you can't contain, and for a guy flying 2 MC75s, it really put a hurt on me. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And then I want to also say, with the massive cut that we have from 48 to 8, it's not like a 7-4 game anymore. Like you need to have the ability to get big wins. If you look at who got in the top 8, everybody had wins of 8 or more. No one had their highest win of a 7. So if your fleet only tops out at a 7-4, generally speaking, you're not going to make day 2 or day 3 with this level of cut. Now, this is the only like 3-day tournament that I know of, right, with this dramatic cut. And so this is the world's meta. You need big hitters. You need big swings. You need fleets that can get a huge, a big win. And the reason is, you can have a 7-4 fleet at 28 points would have made day 3, but that doesn't account for your bad matchups, right? That doesn't account for the one time you get a 6. Mm-hmm. Maybe, God forbid, you get a 5. And then if you can only get a 7, you're just out. So I really think this encourages the big whammies, the big fleet building. Get a fleet that can score high, whether that's through objectives, killing the other fleet, whatnot. But that was my other takeaway observation.
What did you guys feel with because the one hotly contested issue with the 1.6 change was LTTs, and I think most people got around that without too much difficulty.
Yeah, listen, that's a big thing I want to say. Like the top 8 was not squad heavy whatsoever. I think Colin had the biggest one, and then Damon had a small vulture screen, and Angry Walk, of course, had his beefy 134. I want to say, but like EWS PDIC really cuts down on bombers' ability to win, and so if those bomber fleets run into these damage mitigation fleets like EST, if you combine EST, and this is Jason's ISDs, EWS, EST, PDIC, like you're basically not getting bomber damage on his ships. And so if you hit that wall, like you're not going to get enough points to propel yourself, like Ryan says, to win this tournament, to make the cuts. So, um,
So my one thing is that I didn't see, and we'll find out maybe when the objectives come out, but like I didn't see a lot of the traditional fighter objectives.
yeah,
Precision strike, superior positions, and fighter ambush. And I think if we had, like, I never played against any of those objectives in my 11 games. And so I think if fighter fleets start taking those objectives again, they get the ability to score more because you don't necessarily need to kill a ship. You just need to do a damage on the rear in the superior positions or something like that. I think that could be a meta adjustment that fighter fleets need to make. They need to stop taking these objectives where they can't score points if you're 134.
yeah, and bidding for second, which is hard to do as a fighter fleet, a bid for second because you need those points in your fighter ball. But what I was trying to say was like LTT wasn't needed to fight fighter fleets because you weren't trying to kill their fighters. You were just not letting their fighters do anything. Was what I was getting at. So like you didn't really feel the lack of LTTs, like in the meta, I guess, at Worlds. I think it made some fleets harder to fly, maybe like Akbar, because those ships loved LTTs. Same with there wasn't really any super amazing TF going on, but like no LTT and TF like hurts him a lot, actually. So I don't know. I don't think it really changed much, but it did make a lot of other like interesting fleets. XX9s, DTTs, the return of XI7s being really, really popular, H9s, stuff like that.
It was more interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of diversity in the field in terms of fleet designs, archetypes. It was fun to watch because it wasn't like 2 years ago where it was predominantly onagers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a dark time.
My one last thing, and probably the most important thing to come out of this weekend, is my roommate Garrett, my other roommate Aaron, told me that I have a serious snoring problem, like need to seek medical attention type of snoring problem.
Yes,
and
this was out of love, by the way, because we were concerned because he would stop breathing, everybody, okay, and we would like get up and be like, hold up. This guy dead?
So I am going to seek help. I'm going to go to Eric and to deal with this, so I continue to breathe during my sleep.
Yes.
So yeah, it's big benefit. My wife thanks you guys as well, probably because she's been probably dealing with this and just been very polite to me, not bringing it up.
We just care about you. All right. It's amazing how good you feel like when you breathe while you sleep.
I like woke up and I swear I thought I saw like Aaron sitting up looking at me in the middle of the night, and I just like closed my eyes again.
See, you should have bunked up with me, Ryan, because Chris and I both snore horribly, so you would just fit right in.
Yeah. Well, you need someone to tell you need help, and that's what Garrett's done for me.
Apparently, at Gen Con last year, I didn't wake Garrett up, so
Did we didn't stay in this? Oh wait, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But you must have kept breathing. I think this is the big difference.
Okay.
Ryan's problem was he would snore and then stop, but like all of it would stop. And then his body would be like, wake up real fast. I was like, oh my God.
Well, it's like 40 degrees by this cracked window.
Yeah.
All right. So
you get an award to give.
We have an award to give. My favorite thing is to give an award to the Isard Award. This is use of an unconventional card, and we like to at least get someone who made the cut. But it doesn't have to necessarily be. But use of an unconventional card, and my, I guess, nomination this year is a no doubter because his could be like 6 cards that he picked. So Josh Gorhow made day 2 with a Leia fleet. The only issue with his candidacy is which card is actually going to like the Isard Award. So he flew Leia Admiral. He flew an assault frigate, a CR-90B, a GR-75, a Vanguard escort frigate, and then a fighter ball of 115. So let me tell you these cards that he's got in his deck. He's got Liberator, which is super cool with all fighters follow me. He's got Officer Wedge Antilles, which I'm sure is probably only in the top 48 with Wedge Antilles. He has heavy fire zone on his Neb B. Heavy fire zone with that double red flak at long range. Then he's got Kian Farlander, who is like my favorite, right? He's awesome. He's got Ten Num, who's just good. Ten Num's just good. There's nothing there. And then he's got two E-wings in his fleet, which is you don't see E-wings very much. So what this getting day two with those cards is super cool to see. I wonder how he uses Wedge Antilles. I'm guessing
For the B wings.
the B wings for yeah, it's very clever.
But
to
I
do
guess
this.
I don't know if he did this because I have no idea. But I feel like the heavy fire zone with the sniping E wings is what brought him to that point. Because you can't use heavy fire zone against engaged enemy squadron. So if he could snipe them and heavy fire zone them, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you put your E-wing. He's got core and horn too, right? So he's got three E-wings with flight controllers. Maybe you put him on obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So heavy fire zone will still work with if you're on
Does it?
obstacles.
You're still engaged, kind
Or
of,
is it?
right? I don't
No,
know.
you're not engaged. Is it distance one? Maybe.
Yeah, hold on here. I don't know. I haven't looked at heavy fire zone.
Right? Who
So
does? Who does? Because it's a wild fleet, but it's Leia, right? And so with these, he's got his flight controller, Gallenhaven assault frigate, and so with Leia putting out squad commands, you always get your four activations of squads, which is really good for rebels in terms of like a squad pusher. I might actually look at that assault frigate. I like that.
The heavy fire zone is while attacking a squadron before you gather dice. If the defender is not engaged with a friendly squadron, you may replace all the blue dice in your anti-squadron armament with red dice.
yeah. So yeah, if you can get him on obstacles.
You're just like plinking them, taking double red, which is like probably like rarely a hit, but it's not fun to take a double red flag, at long range. That changes how you have to approach a fleet. So I don't know. I think this is a no doubter winner of the Isard Award for total fleet construction. Really.
Yeah, that's wild. And he made day two, so like he flew it well.
Yes.
No, I like it. I think I'm good with that. Isard Award winner.
That's fun.
Congratulations.
Ryan will send you a Director Izard card.
Maybe you'll be in the Hall of Fame for Armada as the 2025 Isard a winner. So just a super like that, and this is like just like think outside the box. Like this is super cool to see. Wedge Antilles. Like I have never really done much with Wedge. I gotta look at him.
He goes good on the Rebel Prov.
Really?
Combo
Okay.
him with FCTs, like FCT and Wedge.
But he could just like be on a flotilla like he has here, and he's got like 1 to 5 range, right?
Yeah, he's just got weird timing.
Yeah, super weird timing. All right, so that's all our fun stuff for Worlds, and then I think we wanted to discuss Andor.
Yeah, did you guys watch it?
I'm 2 episodes in. I did not get a chance to watch the third one.
Oh no.
So
I'm only 2 episodes into.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. We can't. Oh man, like the third episode's like the real climax here of that arc.
Okay, so maybe
all right, so I'll watch
I gotta remember
now.
like what ended in episode 2.
Episode
well, here,
2.
spoilers.
So, yeah.
First of all,
Spoiler,
spoilers.
if you have not watched Andor, stop watching. I don't think we're going to touch base on anything else today Armada related, so you can end right now and come back to us after in fact, pause the podcast right now, go watch the first 3 episodes of Andor, and then continue listening to what we have. Okay, there's our warning. We're good.
Nah. What's up with the rock, paper, scissors game?
That was them trying to decide who was going to be the new leader of the reunified little party they had going on there.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, listen, I'll say this. If you haven't been, this is a weird way to say this. Insurgencies overseas are often made of very young, uneducated people. And so I just kind of laugh because it's it's weird when you think about things like, I don't know, I guess you could say the Taliban. But a lot of them are just like kids. And they act funny. Now they don't do rock paper scissors because that's like an American culture, Western culture type thing. But they do stuff like that. Not as comical, I guess, because like they were kind of keep a light tone because of the thing, but you know, just funny stuff like that. Like they're unorganized splinter groups. And I think that's what this was trying to show is like an unorganized splinter group who wants to be rebels, but they have no overall leadership, right? And clearly whoever was in charge got shot, that lady. And so they started falling apart immediately because no one was there to unify them.
And I think the best part about that sequence was as soon as everyone was distracted, Andor was able to just like kick the one panel, grab a blaster, pull a communications radio out of the hidden compartment in that shuttle, and was off and in the TIE Avenger before you know it.
Because that was his shuttle that he was coming back to that was crashed. So he knew like all about like the communications equipment in and everything in it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't bothered. I thought it was kind of funny that he was captured by these like idiots. Because like,
what? Well, that's a really good. You have a really good take.
But yeah, other than that, man, like stealing the TIE Avenger, the cool. Turncoat Imperial. First off, seeing Sinar, fact like the industries like has never been seen outside of like books, and even in books, I don't know if we ever visited Sinar directly. I think it's only referenced sometimes, maybe in some comics.
I think it's only referenced. I don't recall ever going there. But we also managed to go back to Yavin 4 in that second episode, is what we found out at the end, where he's going by the Misasi temples.
Yeah.
In the second episode.
It was really funny because my wife was asking me, like, what planet are they on? And it was really funny. I love my wife. She's not a huge Star Wars nerd. Obviously, I am. She was like, I thought the planet was BBY4. And I was like, oh, no. And then I was like, hold, we got to stop. I got to tell you what this means.
That is definitely a huge like nerd reference, right? Because they could have very easily done 4 years before the destruction of the Battle of Yavin. But the fact that they actually just did BBY4 was awesome, because every Star Wars nerd that's been in this since 1977 gets that reference.
Yeah.
Especially if you played the West End game stuff.
And I don't know who on the writing team. Someone there on Andor's writing team loves Knights of the Old Republic and Rakatans. This must have been the third episode. It's like a minor reference, but there's another reference to the Rakatan Empire from 25,000 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like,
the Eternal Empire or something.
They referenced them last season too, and I was like, okay, all right, that's interesting.
I didn't even know that was canon.
It's Andor made it canon again. Only those, none of the details, but the fact that they existed again was really cool. Let's see. Anyways,
I enjoyed it. I find the pace, this new pace of Star Wars action very difficult to follow. The fact that like lasers just like fly at you, and like you can't really follow in your mind at least how a starfighter battle is going. Like that first one, it's really quick editing and stuff, and so it makes it hard like to understand where things are positioned. Like episode 4, you kind of understand where the starfighters are, and where they're flying and everything.
Long shots are expensive, if that makes sense. So they have to keep cutting because you only want to computer generate a moment.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's hard to follow. Like I agree. I think this is hard to follow, and it's super. Everything's super fast, and so maybe I'm just old as I'm approaching 40. But that's
really funny.
My negative feedback,
because a lot of people complained that the show is too slow. So
like the action sequences or like the pacing.
The pacing.
Okay.
So my view on it is I can easily see, just based on the 2 episodes, how they could have made each season like 6 to 8 episodes. And you cut out parts that maybe weren't necessary. So if they were going to do a full 6 to 8 episodes per year, if you will, and basically make Andor another 4 seasons, so 5 in total. I could see, all right, you get an episode where Andor infiltrates and becomes the test pilot at the end of it, and then you get kind of him stealing the TIE Avenger, and then you get a couple more things. And again, without having seen the third episode, I don't know quite how this first arc ends, but so in that sense, I like what they're doing because I'd rather have more of it now, or what would be great would be to film all of it, like 4 seasons worth of material and take 6 years to send it out. But I think, me personally, I would like to get like a 4th episode for each one of these years instead of 4 chunks of 3. I'd rather have 4 chunks of 4, just to give it a little bit more time to tell the story. And to the point of computer generated.
They're like 50 minutes each this time, which is pretty good amount.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're basically getting 2 movies worth of material with each bit. But I'd like to get just that little bit extra. I would almost, in some cases, to Ryan's point, love to see us going back, especially with the smaller battles, going back to using models and then working CGI around it.
They do use models, and that's part of the cost problem.
Really? I thought it was all CGI.
No. So there's a reason why if you watch all those ILM documentaries, so this is really funny.
I haven't watched any of the ILM.
ILM has like 4 models at this point. The ISD from Rogue One, the Gazanti they made for Mando, and then they built a model for this TIE Avenger, I'm pretty sure. I haven't watched the latest one. But Lucasfilm keeps reusing all these same 5 models they have at this point, which I'm desperate for them to build some more models. But anyways, back to the show though. What did you guys think about the Gorman conference discussion?
Super cool.
Yeah.
This is probably like an inappropriate analogy. Okay. I won't do it. But it just reminds me of another conference that was very dark and
the movie Conspiracy covers it. Yeah.
It really reminded me of that. And again, that's an inappropriate analogy. We're talking about fiction versus fact, right?
Yeah.
But it echoed that, I'll say. And so I think that was very effective storytelling. It was like, wow, these people are about to do some really bad things here.
And I can't remember. Did you guys watch the part where the ISB agent, the girl, I can't remember her name, she pitches her idea to Krennic?
That was at the end of the
second episode, I think. And it's just a genius idea, right? It's you make an insurgency on Gorman so that you can put it down. And it looks good on TV because you're protecting the civilians from this new rebel cell.
All right, I don't know if we got that part. We got the part where she said you need to have a bunch.
No, we got that part.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. Rebels.
At
the end of
it was at the end of the first season.
Okay,
first episode.
That's some excellent what the CIA did in Latin America to the entire 80s, right? It's playbook how you do it.
A false flag type thing or something like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they're looking to do that. And my big question is, how does all of this wind up falling into the construction of the Death Star?
Oh, well, it's the okay. Well, I remember Ryan dogging on this book, but Catalyst.
Well,
all leads back to Catalyst.
I'm with you on that.
All leads back to Catalyst because the whole book is about Palpatine as a chancellor was like, we're going to build unlimited power. It's really funny. We're going to build power, free power for people, on planets. And to do the power, we need, I can't remember the word. They needed a new resource. But anyways, this resource they needed is ore found in Gorman. So they need to strip mine the planet to get this ore out to build their power cells or whatever for planets, but really it's for the Death Star, right?
See, now that's what I was thinking was going on. So
because the whole time all the money's being funneled into a power project for backwater planets, but really the whole project's funding the Death Star.
So what you're saying, Garrett, is I need to go back and actually read Catalyst.
Yeah, I think so. Again, that's a good book.
No, my God, no. No, it's brutal. They should have just like you could put a memo out, be like, this is the plot, and like that's all you need to know. Oh my
Yeah, I'm going to
God.
upload it to, Chat GPT and tell it to summarize it for me. So
Oh,
give me
geez.
the Cliff's Notes version.
I think if we got another ship, I think how cool it would be, for like X-Wing, if like AMG put out like a new TIE Avenger, like well, how cool would that be? Like imagine the synergy with the show.
Ha
That'd be so
ha.
cool. We could even have
Hilarious.
it, yeah, we could have it in Armada, that'd be
New
super
fighter.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just free IP right there, right? You could release it tomorrow. Super cool. Have some kind of like proton beam thing.
4 black dice, two blue as an anti-starfighter, and give it
Yeah,
two
it's got
black ship.
speed 4.
Clearly,
Something.
this thing's really durable. So I guess 8 hull.
Yeah, it's got to be some obscene number like that. It has some crazy. It's got to be Rogue.
Yeah,
Well,
your
The TIE
regular.
Advance is what, 5 hull? It's like the predecessor to
TIE
the TIE
Advance is,
Advance.
is 5. Yeah, this
I
is
don't know if it's
supposedly this is
related
a
to the TIE
prototype.
Advanced at this point. But did you notice this was really cool? I don't know if you guys watch Rebels, but I guess that's in Obi-Wan Kenobi too. But the Inquisitors TIE
Yeah,
prototype. It's
the
got
the
like the
V1.
curved wings
Mhm.
instead of straight wings.
Yeah, those
That
are
was what was
the
chasing
TIE
it.
fighters that were going after it. Yeah, yeah. I did
Oh, I
notice
didn't
that.
see. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was
Again,
neat.
because the action was too fast for me to actually follow. So I
Just,
couldn't, you know, they're making these TV shows are getting too fast now in my day and age.
uh, but yeah. Other
All right,
than
well,
that, I
clearly I
guess
need to watch episode 3.
yeah. Episode 3 is real good.
I'll be watching that in a few hours.
It's also real sad. I'll say
Oh,
that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, also like all this like financial dealing in the background of Mon Mothma
yeah.
and like the senators and all the rebels there. That's really good. That comes to a head in episode 3. Um, at the wedding.
hmm
Uh,
3-day wedding. That's nuts. Could you imagine trying to do that?
well, I'm not
No, I mean, you
rich,
think
so
about it,
no.
like, no, look, you think about it, like, it's very traditional to have, like a rehearsal dinner the day before a wedding. Like,
Yeah.
like
It's
you're just one more day,
it's
at least in
very
our culture.
just it's like it's a believable traditional like if
Mhm.
you're part of a royal family in like Europe, like you go through all this crap
There's a
basically.
lot of cultures in our, world, right, that have these kind of extended, marriage ceremonies. So,
Yeah.
um, Ken would just be you'd have you would feel like Tay would the next day after the first day.
Yeah. You get in episode 3, you get to see Mon Mothma just throwing shots back. That's pretty funny.
Okay.
Just getting absolutely wasted.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. No, people need to watch this. And then because then you gotta wait 2 years for the next Star Wars project. I think Grogu comes out. Oh, maybe that's next year actually.
Well,
The
live action,
Mando Grogu movie.
animated, they're doing some more stuff.
Oh
Soon.
yeah, the Mall show got announced.
Yeah.
Bringing back Darth Talon,
hmm
George Lucas's favorite EU. I wonder why. The female Twi'lek, always portrayed in just the most modest outfits.
And then isn't another, what is it, Tales of the Underworld with Asajj Ventress is coming out sometime this year?
Yeah, and Cad Bane. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
So yeah,
I
we'll
like the
see
Underworld stuff.
animation stuff, throughout the next year. And the next year we see the live action stuff return. So that'll be fun. Movies a year after that.
Yeah. So that's cool. In game news, I guess we could say this. Age of Wonders came out with the Battle
the
of
Battle
Hoth.
Hoth.
It's based on Memoir 44 system.
Yeah, it looks like it's using the command and color system. I'm curious to see what I think it said like 7 or 14 missions that came with it.
Yeah,
With the base
whatever it
set.
is, it's an instant
So
buy. I buy every
yeah,
Star Wars game product that exists.
yeah,
So
I'm gonna pick that up. My guess is if this sells well, we'll see more battles. Like maybe you'll see Battle for Endor as a separate expansion for it, and probably other battles throughout the Star Wars universe. And I think that's kind of a neat idea because Memoir 44 really, with all the little expansions, gave you so much that you could do in a decent price package. And it's a fun, easy game.
Yeah,
So,
and it's fast.
assuming it follows a similar pattern, and then if you can do the giant Overlord games where basically you double the size of it, you've got 4 players playing, I think that'd be cool.
It's that bridge where you can get a lot of the casual community, where you don't need the
Yeah.
hardcore wargaming community, which allows you to make just tons more money than you do on like war games, right?
Right. Yeah. So hopefully those do well and they get to make more stuff. Maybe we can give them the miniatures license so they can make my Star Wars
Hey,
games.
their minis didn't look bad
Nope.
that they put out. I saw those little air speeders that they had. Those are cool. So hey, maybe bring it to Ken Derby, guys.
I don't think it's out yet.
It's not out yet.
Gotta wait.
Yeah.
Gotta wait. Stand by.
Remember.
Don't worry. Once it comes out, I'll bring it down to Louisville. Although Garrett will have a copy, so I won't have to do that either.
Probably. Most likely. Yeah. Well, cool guys. Should we wrap this show up?
Yeah, I think we'll wrap today up. But I think what this does say is we need to get together again in about a week or so and talk about the second group of Andor. So hopefully, Ryan, you and I will be able to have watched that by the time we do the next podcast.
It won't be a problem.
So
yeah, it's a good idea because I think Ryan and I are going to do a mini pod next on a Arizona event at Gamers Guild. Is where it was at, which is really funny because that's the place that got the last of the Asmodee products, if everybody remembers, and they were selling all this stuff for like 50% off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Phoenix GT Open, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
And then Nova too, right? Aren't they? Don't they have a GT?
Nova doesn't have a GT. It's Richmond.
No. Richmond. There,
yeah.
Yeah, we gotta cover Richmond as well. The last GT's officially sported events here.
Yeah. So we will be covering those as well. So on that wonderful note, stay tuned for more Armada and Andor news. But until next time, I'm Ken.
I'm Garrett.
No, I'm Ryan.
And we're the Command Staff. And you have been watching or listening to Command Stack.